Yo, what's going on, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are going to discuss quarterback strategy for your drafts. A lot of players are going to be drafting either this coming weekend or Labor Day weekend. I know some people have already done their drafts, but for those of you that have not yet, I want to discuss what the strategy is for quarterback this year. And it is very flexible, and it has been for some years. And I feel like this is a really good year for quarterbacks overall. And, if you watched our My Guys video, you're going to probably be able to identify the exact strategy that we're going to talk about this year, because it's faceted based on where you're drafting and the overall approach you want to take. So I'm going to give you, multiple ways you can attack the quarterback position this year and just give you guys some ideas. We're also doing mock drafts on our video. We're going to be doing those over the course of the next couple of weeks. Going to try to do one a day, most days, and you can see kind of how some of these strategies come into play, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So basically, as you can see, we're looking at a 12-team PPR average draft position right now from Fantasy Football Calculator. This is the, you guys are playing on Sleeper, this is the ADP that gets funneled into that system. So if you're doing mock drafts on Sleeper, which is the best platform out there, you will notice that this looks pretty similar to the way that some of your mock drafts comes out. And Fantasy Football Calculator, at least I found, has been one of the more accurate ADP sources, at least for more competitive leagues. When you get in some of the more home leagues, then you can end up getting a lot of values if you're paying attention to ADP. Some of these guys don't end up going nearly as high in home league. So let's talk quarterbacks. Now, there's really 5 ways to approach quarterback this year. And I am not opposed to any of them, although I'm a little bit more inclined towards the later quarterback still. We did a mock draft yesterday where we took Lamar Jackson in the 209, which was in the 4 slot. And it ended up working out decently. If you get a running back in the first round and you take Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes in the second round, it doesn't actually impact your team nearly as much as normal because of the value you can get at wide receiver in 3-4 and the fact that you can still get running backs like DeAndre Swift or Cam Akers or even James White in the 6th. I'm fine with punting the running back a little bit if you missed out on Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler. That is basically the dividing line for me. If I can get 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, I feel like the tier drop between the Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones tier to the 3rd round running backs, who I'm pretty much fading across the board, is pretty massive. I like Jonathan Taylor a lot, but having him as my RB2 is a little bit worrisome to start the year because I don't know how many touches he's going to get over the first couple weeks of the season. He's going to be a smash play from October on, but September could be a little bit rough, so I like him better as my RB3. So coming back to it, if I can't get one of these guys as my RB2, and I'm looking at receivers, tight end, or quarterback here, there's a world in which Lamar Jackson does repeat close to what he did last year. I don't think he's going to be the same advantage at the position that he was, but I don't absolutely hate it. That is not my ideal strategy, but if you're in one of these first 4 picks, Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb are gone, I don't mind taking Lamar Jackson there, but probably not the strategy I'm really going to be looking at for most of my drafts. Now, the next block of quarterbacks is the 2nd tier, the Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson tier. Of these guys, the only guy that I'm planning on reaching for in a redraft league is Dak Prescott. If I had to put money right now of a quarterback outside of Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes that had the best shot at finishing at the number 1 overall quarterback, it would be Dak Prescott. Their defense is going to regress a bit. They're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up. Dak Prescott is playing on a franchise tag, really wants to lock down that deal. They add CeeDee Lamb, lock down Amari Cooper. Honestly, they have the pound for pound in terms of talent. They had the best offense in the league, and Dak Prescott is a really good quarterback. This could basically be the Chiefs of the NFC. So if there's any quarterback I'm going to reach for in the 5th or 6th round, it's going to be Dak Prescott. I like it better if you can get him towards the back half of the 6th round, because I'm still in on some of these receivers here. Terry McLaurin can fall. I like Cortland Sutton somewhat, at least in the 6th round. I like Cortland Sutton a good bit. Marquise Brown has a decent shot at outproducing his ADP. AJ Green and Devontae Parker are going way too late. AJ Green, we're still monitoring that hamstring injury. It might be out on him if he doesn't recover soon. Devontae Parker is going to be a smash play, so I like taking receivers in this round, but if you were able to get 2 running backs early, like if you're in the back half of the first, and then you can get 3 receivers over the course of your, rounds 3 through 5, I'm definitely okay with taking Dak Prescott in the 6th round. So that's probably going to be a strategy I end up taking a lot this year. If Dak Prescott goes early, it's okay. Don't freak out. Next tier of guys is your Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, and some people have Josh Allen in that tier. I don't like Josh Allen this year, even though his ADP is a bit lower than I thought it would be at this point with the amount of hype that he's getting on Twitter. I figured it would have been like in the 7th round by now. I don't even want him in the 9th round, but that's for another day. Matt Ryan is my favorite quarterback in this tier. Matt Ryan is playing in a division that they're going to have to score a lot of points if they want to win games. Their defense isn't really much improved. Offensive line should be healthier this year, and if Calvin Ridley can stay healthy, that is a very deadly duo between Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I like Russell Gage. Todd Gurley should hopefully give them a boost in the passing game for running backs. And then Hayden Hurst is not as good as Austin Hooper, but I think he'll be able to be at least a decent option for them. So Matt Ryan, I think, has a great chance of bouncing back. So if I don't take Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes early, which I'm probably not going to, there's probably like only 5% chance that I'm going to end up with one of those guys. And then I don't take Dak Prescott, whether he goes in the 5th round before I get him in the 6th, or if I just feel like taking a guy like Devontae Parker over him. My next shot is to try to get Matt Ryan, and I would take him in the 8th round. So he's going in the early 8th round. So if I'm picking later in the 8th round, then I'm hoping that he falls. But if he doesn't fall again, I'm okay with that. Matt Ryan, I want to also say, I'm much higher on in 6-point touchdown leagues. I know there's a split between 4-point and 6-point passing touchdown leagues. Matt Ryan sees a significant boost in 6-point touchdown leagues for me personally, because he's not going to get you much in the way of rushing touchdowns. And I think that getting those extra 2 points definitely helps bring him up closer to this tier of guys that see a lot of their production in the run game. But I still like him in 4-point touchdown leagues. So I'd be more than happy to take Matt Ryan in the 8th. But if you miss out on Matt Ryan, again, don't sweat it, because the potential Lamar Jackson pick of the year, a guy that goes in the double-digit rounds that will likely finish in the top 5, is Cam Newton, and he's still going in the 11th round right now. So if you want to make sure, if you miss out on Dak Prescott, you miss out on Matt Ryan, take Cam Newton in the 10th. Don't get cute. Don't try to wait and try to pick him in the 11th. Just take him in the 10th. There's really not anybody else here that I really care for going in the 10th round other than Jalen Reagor, but I'm probably going to take Jalen Reagor earlier than that because I don't really care for most of the guys that are going in the 9th round. This whole 8th through 10th round tier, to me, like of all players across the board, is pretty similar. So that's why I don't feel left out if I take Matt Ryan early. But if I miss Matt Ryan, take Cam Newton in the 10th and thank me later. If you miss on Cam Newton, someone reaches on him and takes him in the 9th, guess what? You're still okay. If you don't get Dak Prescott, you don't get Matt Ryan, and you don't get Cam Newton, just wait again, because you can still get Ryan Tannehill is going in the 15th round. Kirk Cousins should be a much better quarterback for fantasy this year. That defense is going to be much degraded compared to where it was last year. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. You could take a shot at a guy like Jared Goff, who has been one of the highest quarterbacks in terms of pass attempts. I think that he's going to at least start the year out pretty decently. You could take a shot on Joe Burrow. I mean, of all these guys, I like Ryan Tannehill the best, but I mean, you can take 2 of them. Take a Jared Goff and a Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Tannehill, Joe Burrow, Teddy Bridgewater. Take 2 of these guys, play the guy with the best matchup, and see what you got. If they don't work out, then throw one of them back to the waiver wire and pick up the next guy that breaks out. The nice thing about quarterbacks is as the season goes on, there's always guys that come into becoming, a decent starting option for that. I think the fantasy footballers have hit on it pretty well when they talk about there's been over 40 quarterback ones, basically guys that finish in the top 12 of their position on the week over the course of the last 3 years, which means that as the season goes on, there's almost always going to be a streaming option in one quarterback leagues. This obviously changes a little bit in Superflex. If enough of you play Superflex and you want me to talk about that, I can do another video talking quarterback strategy for Superflex, but really looking at one quarterback leagues, the only players that I see that give you a significant advantage of reaching on is Dak Prescott and Matt Ryan. And other than that, you have no real reason to be taking a quarterback in the single-digit rounds, because you can get Cam Newton in the 10th. You can get guys like Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, and Teddy Bridgewater in 13th, 14th, 15th round. I mean, just keep waiting. If the value is there at running back or wide receiver, or you feel like taking a tight end like Zach Ertz or Tyler Higbee or Hayden Hurst in the 7th, 8th round, then, just keep waiting on the quarterback, and you can still fill out a roster, with high upside guys. Even a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo could see a massive improvement this year. That defense could regress, and they could end up needing to throw the ball more. So I guess my point is, with quarterback, don't panic. Do not panic. Don't be like, oh crap, I missed out on Dak Prescott, I need to reach on Deshaun Watson now. Or, oh shoot, I missed out on Tom Brady and Matt Ryan, I need to reach on Aaron Rodgers now. Just don't do it. Have your guys, my guys are my guys. If you believe me, you can check out my guys video, and I can explain why I like Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, and Cam Newton so much. But if you have your own guys, just go into the draft trying to get one of them at value. And if you don't, just pivot to the next round. So that would be my advice. Go into the draft with like 4 quarterbacks at these different layers. So a guy that's going around, round 7 or 8. A guy that's going around 10 or 11, a guy that's going after round 12. Have multiple layers, and just know, I'm not going to reach for this guy, but if he falls to me in the round that I'm comfortable taking him, you can take him. But if he goes before you, then just wait until the next guy comes up. You're going to be able to find a decent quarterback, even if you wait until the last round. You can take Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be decent enough for a start. You can take Gardner Minshew. Going to be decent enough for a start in week 1. Teddy Bridgewater has an easy schedule the first couple weeks of the season. Daniel Jones I like a lot over the back half of the season. His first 4 games are brutal, so I wouldn't recommend drafting him. But I mean, there's a lot of startable quarterbacks that you can take, even guys that aren't even listed here. I mean, you could take a shot on Sam Darnold. I wouldn't recommend it in a redraft league, but he could produce. So don't panic on quarterback. Have a strategy going in of who you want, but if it doesn't work out, don't reach. Don't reach for the next guy in a tier. Have a favorite per tier, and if you don't get that guy, just go to the next tier. So that's my thought. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope that makes sense. Hit me up in the comment section with any questions that you guys have, and we'll see you guys in the next video.